Liberty. Kung ako maglalaro ng Throne and Liberty, siguro i-introhan ko lang talaga siya, boss, kasi unang-una yun, wala ngang auto. Hirap ako sa walang auto, boss. Pangalawa, hindi siya cross-platform. So, sa akin, gusto ko lang i-feel ko ano yung meron dun sa laro na yun. So, lalaruin ko siya. And kung gusto siyang laruin ng early, mas early dun sa release date ng global, pwede kayong bumili ng early access. Pero para sa akin, sayang yung pera. Kung ang tatanungin, boss, for example, 5 days early, check natin yung pinakamura. Magkano to sa Steam? Pinakamura to, boss, As in, mauuna ka lang ng 5 araw, hindi pa pwede sa country natin, yung pa yung masama. Pero ang tingin ko dito noon, nasa around 3,000 siya. So, para sa akin, wala yatang option sa atin. So, nonsense pa rin bumili nito. Pero kung pwede man bilhin sa atin to, boss, ang advice ko, wag niyong bilhin. So, sa mga nagtatanong kung anong itsura ng gameplay ng Throne and Liberty, meron dito. Ito. Pakita ko sa inyo, boss. Medyo maganda. Ang ganda, sa totoo lang, boss, maganda yung graphics niya. Maganda yung gameplay niya. Teka lang, boss. Ayan, maganda yung graphics niya, maganda yung gameplay niya. Ngayon, if gusto nyo laruin, ito pwede nyo panoorin yung honest review dito ni Canon. Napakaganda nito. Panoorin na rin natin. Start natin sa combat. So, makikita nyo sobrang ganda rin naman talaga ng gameplay talaga ng Throne and Liberty. Hindi nga lang siya pasok talaga sa akin. Kasi number 1 nga, walang auto. Number 2, hindi siya NFT game. Gusto ko NFT game na kasi alam mo naman sa Pilipinas, boss. Hindi na masama na kumita ng extra. And pangatlo, boss, is hindi siya cross-platform.
About the combat, one of the biggest points of criticism with Throne revolved around its combat. First and foremost, Throne is a game where your combat experience will grow and evolve with your character build and power. The combat that you'll experience early on will continue to enhance to and through the endgame. It will for sure be significantly slower early on compared to the endgame.
So, yun pala masyadong sa early game pala hindi mo masyadong maramdaman yung banatan pero gumaganda habang tumatagal.
NCSoft has yet again revamped its combat system now a second time. For those of you who have played in the most recent beta test, unfortunately, you did not have access to this
pero ang ganda,
updated
no? Dami niya
combat.
kasing skill.
Skill
Ang dami mo
specialization
pwedeng gawin sa laro. Ayun ang pinaka nagustuhan ko sa kanya. Napakadami mong pwedeng gawin sa laro.
Is a system recently added to the latest Talandria expansion that effectively works like tripods in Lost Ark and is available starting at around level 20. These skill specializations can completely transform your skill and have created a much more dynamic, faster-paced combat experience by offering more movement, utility, damage, and AoE across all weapons. In addition to this, NCSoft also added the option to remove camera smoothing and reduce the inertia while moving, providing a much more responsive, less clunky experience. It's often said
So,
that the combat
sa itemization naman, boss, ito
gets
yung mga
better
nagiging
the longer you play. This is largely in part due to the itemization in
criticize yung
Throne.
game dahil dito sa mga
This
character
here
na
is probably the biggest reason why Throne is honestly one of my favorite MMOs personally. In Throne, you have a lot of gear options. Your gear will determine you. How you play your class, how your class feels, what you're weak to, what you're strong to. No single class will be exactly the same, and you will always catch yourself asking, what is this dude's build when coming across a juiced character? In Throne, there is a massive emphasis on your gear, and there is no best in slot combination. It's very much a rock, paper, scissors, pick your poison type of system. Whether you're maximizing damage or defenses, you can't have it all, and your build will always excel.
Ayun, yung kumbaga hindi wala siyang balance, boss. Kapag sinabing damage ka talaga, sobrang lambot mo rin.
In some regard.
Ayun yung mga naririnig kong mga napapangitan nila sila sa
melee and ranged attacks, but it's at the cost of being slow and weak to magic. On the point of weaknesses, due to the nature of the pick your poison element in the build, you will never be a walking raid boss no matter how many dollars you put into the game. You'll always have a counter, and the dollar bill will not be able to shield you from everything. Yes, if you're a whale that has spent $50,000 into this game and this random free-to-play Andy comes and he just happens to be the build that counters you because you're weak to magic and he's staff, you will get shit on. Keck W. The downside to all this, though, is if you're someone that doesn't take interest in builds, you will have to do a little bit of due diligence to find a build from a reputable person because it is extremely costly, especially if you're free to play, to mess up your build or choose the wrong one. In order to get a build to come online, you'll need it.
Ang daming kasing pwedeng gawin, and ang daming possible na imali. Kaya ang hirap yun nga sinasabi niya, kailangan kung may trust ka dito na content creator, kailangan trusted mo talaga siya.
Invest a significant amount of time and resources to do so. So what do you do in Throne and Liberty? Content is king. Tell me about the content in Loop. Okay, so as mentioned before, Throne has really come a long way and has undergone a significant amount of changes since its launch. It's actually kind of funny to me watching other content creators trying to tell you about what you do in Throne or what kind of game Throne is. They're clearly just echoing what they've heard from an older version of Throne, clearly not having played it themselves. Contrary to what they're saying, Throne is no longer a large-scale PvP-only game. Let me break it down for you. When you reach the end game, you'll have a few main things you'll do on Loop, plus at least one major war pretty much every day. First, you have your contracts, which are your daily quests. You'll have 10 of these a day, taking you anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes.
Kasi hindi nakaka-enjoy yung laro. Parang hindi nakaka-enjoy yung laro if walang war sa ibang tao. Pag puro PvE, parang feeling ko sana nag-farming game ka na lang. Kung puro PvE kayo, as in talagang masarap din makipag-gera talaga.
You'll do about 3 times a day depending on the dungeons you're running. This will take you around 10 to 30 minutes depending on your group and experience. However, it can also take hours if your group is less geared and less experienced. Completing contracts and dungeons will not only give you gear upgrade mats and experience, with dungeons giving you actual best in slot gear pieces as well, but it'll also give you open world dungeon tokens known as abyssal contract tokens in game. These open world dungeon tokens are consumed.
So ito yung pinaka boss. Ito yung pinaka malala na sinasabi nila about sa Throne and Liberty. Pero sa atin kasi boss, hindi malaking issue siya eh. Yung pay to win, boss. Kasi napaka-normal na niya sa mga Pilipino yung pay to win. Sa ibang bansa, yan, ayaw nila yan. Pero sa atin dito sa Asian country, walang problema itong pay to win.
That I do plan on making a
so ito,
more
hindi ko rin ito problema
the pay to win in a separate video so you can fully understand how it works. But to keep this video from being 17,000 hours long, I'm going to keep this relatively short, or try to, in general. Is it pay to win? The answer is yes. It's for sure pay to win. How is it pay to win? Well, you can purchase the tradable currency. In MMO terms, you can buy and spend gold to buy gear and upgrade your shit. It's about as systematically pay to win as it can be. If you're tolerant
wala ka na kasing pwedeng laruin ngayon na MMO na hindi pay to win, lalo na free to play yung laro. Hindi mo siya pwedeng hindi gawing pay to win eh. Paano kakain yung mga developer? Kaya kung ako boss, naiintindihan ko talaga if may mga laro talaga na pay to win kasi end of the day, boss, kailangan din kumain talaga ng mga developer. Yung mga nagpapatakbo sa game.
You're probably asking, how pay to win is it? In my personal opinion, I'd say it's a bit less pay to win than BDO and Lost Ark, but it's pretty close. It's hard to compare because in some ways it's more and in some ways it's less. NCSoft has a strong reputation of adding egregious pay to win later into their games to the point where they just die. But 10 months into Throne, they have actually reduced and alleviated the pay-to-win systems for the most part. Here's a bulleted breakdown of the pay-to-win. You can realistically compete as a free-to-play player.
So walang problema sa mga F2P.
You can realistically reach max gear score as a free-to-play player.
So
you can shit on whales as a free-to-play player. Remember, as mentioned before, every class has a counter. Pick your poison, rock, paper, scissors system.
Yun ang maganda sa
Whales cannot be min-max gear / power day one. They are gated on their upgrades, keeping the gap in power, especially early on, manageable. When upgrading, you need multiple mats, but each upgrade will require a mat that is not swipeable. You can get the most powerful arc boss weapons as a free-to-play player. You just need to join the right guild. We the player.
Pero kung malilimit nila yung ano dito, kung malilimit nila yung pay to win dito, possible tong lumaki. Pero, hindi sa Asia. Pero, kasi ang gusto na talaga dito ng mga tao NFT.
Control how we get these weapons, considering all Arc Boss weapons go to the player guilds first. You can whale for the most powerful Arc Boss weapons as well,
yung mga artist
but it
talaga,
will be a while before you
mga
can do
artist.
so because they are rarely sold early on and you're waiting for guilds to sell them. Most guilds will keep them within their guild because your guild is significantly stronger the more you have, allowing you to effectively farm more, which is why most people actually say Arc Boss weapons are more guild to win than pay to win. The cost to swipe for capped gear is cheap compared to other Korean pay-to-win games. By capped, I mean max gear. Like, you can't get any more power. Pre-Talandry, it costs around $500-ish USD in Korea to min-max if you're going to
yung
just
$500 na dito yan, boss? Halos lahat ng semi-spender sa mga game na yun, for example, Nightcrows, kayang-kaya nila yan.
For all of it, not including Arc Boss weapons. Arc Boss weapons go for anywhere from $350 to $1,200 USD in Korea. There is a big fluctuation because there aren't that many that get listed overall. If it's consistent with Korea, it should cost you anywhere roughly from 1K USD to 4K USD to get a fully
sa mga
maxed
natin dito. Kila Chris yan.
out full power character with double Arc Boss weapons on global, assuming you're doing the very bare minimum and you're pretty much buying everything. To add some perspective here, this is the equivalent of max quality gear, S8 weapon, 1010 stone, and Lost Ark. You can't go any more vertical. And that about wraps up this game review. I really wanted to get an updated review on this game for you guys because the game really has changed quite a bit since its start and even since the beta
Mas
test
malala
as
daw
well.
yung pay to win dito compare ngayon. So medyo in-improve na nila yung pay to win
A lot of
system
you guys
dito.
are thinking about putting in a considerable amount of time and even money for some
Maganda
of
yung
you
laro.
into this
Lalo
game.
na Korea yung nag-develop. Ang ganda rin kasi ng ng Korea, boss. Yun nga lang talaga. Expect mo na pay to win kasi hindi naman siya subscription base eh. So kung gusto nyo maglaro nito, boss, grinding game siya, wala siyang auto. Hindi mo siya pwedeng laruin sa cellphone and hindi siya NFT. Hindi siya play to earn. So yun yung mga kailangan nyo i-consider. Yun ang kino-consider ko. Depende pa rin naman sa inyo ilalaroin nyo. Kung PC gamer talaga kayo, maganda to. Kung mix kayo, mobile PC, medyo kakapusing kayo dito. Lalo na lagi kayo nasa labas. Lagi kayo nasa trabaho, pipitik-pitik lang kayo ng laro. For example, sa NC. I-auto nyo sa cellphone nyo. Pwedeng-pwede. Dito, hindi. So yun yung mga kailangan nyo i-consider bago nyo talaga pagbuusan ng oras and pansin tong laro ng Throne Liberty. So yun lang naman yung sa akin.